How's it going, everybody? Hopefully, everyone is having a good day. Hopefully, everyone's having an awesome day. Unfortunately, this is not going to be an awesome video. This is not going to live up to having an awesome week. It's a sad day for Texas. It's a sad day for the United States. And it all starts at home. What am I talking about, you might ask? Heard this on the radio on my way home. There's been too many shootings for me just to ignore it. This is like one of five that's on my radar. I think there was the subway killer, which was black. You had the other mass shooter, which was white supremacist or alleged white supremacist. He's probably doing it for the attention. I think there's a couple more. I think there may have been another one that happened on the subway of New York. And then there's one here in Texas. It's always sad to read stories like this or hear them or even cover them. That's why I don't really want to cover them, but something needs to be said. 15 killed in a shooting at Uval Elementary School. Gunman dead, Governor Abbott says. A 10-year-old girl and a 66-year-old woman in critical condition at the University of Hospital in San Antonio. I think this is what a skip and a beat west of San Antonio is Uval. It's a rather small town. A gunman opened fire at an elementary school in Uval on Tuesday, killing 14 students and one teacher. And the thing is, these are elementary kids. These are kids in their prime. And it's sad to see 14 little seeds being stomped out by a monster. A monster. It's either the home. It all starts at the home. The gunman, identified as 18-year-old Monster. I'm not going to say his name. He doesn't deserve to be named. He's just a nameless monster. I mean, you could read the story if you want to know his name. But I don't want to give him credit. Why should I give him credit? I want to give the 14 students that lost their life senselessly. I want to give them credit. They're innocent bystanders in this monster's life. The 18-year-old shooter, who was also killed, Governor Abbott said, the monster was reportedly a student at Uval High School and was a former student, Abbott said. Uval Police Chief Pete Aliondo said it appeared that the monster acted alone. Abbott said the monster shot his grandmother before he went on a shooting rampage around 11:30 a.m. at Robb Elementary School, where second through fourth grader attended. Two law enforcement officers were shot but are expected to be okay, Abbott said. University health officials said a 10-year-old girl and a 66-year-old woman were being treated at the university hospital and were in critical conditions. I really hope that they make it. I really do. I'm also glad that the monster's dead. I don't know if he took his own life or the cops ended him, but I'm glad the monster's dead. We don't need monsters like that getting a chance of a mistrial or being let go under a technicality. That may be cold-hearted. Because I'm actually pro-death, so it kind of fits that. I mean, you don't snuff out that many people and get to live. It is my opinion. Texans across the state are grieving for the victims of the senseless crime, and the community of Uvalde, Abbott said. Celia and I mourn the horrific loss, and we urge all Texans to come together to show our unwavering support to all who are suffering. We thank the courageous first responders who worked to finally secure Robb Elementary. I've instructed the Texas Department of Public Safety and Texas Rangers to work with local law enforcement to fully investigate this crime. The Texas Division of Emergency Management is in charge with providing local officials and all resources necessary to respond to this tragedy. As the state of Texas works to ensure that the community has what it needs to heal. Chief Ariando said that the families of the victims were being notified. I do not envy him. I do not envy the cops calling the family members of the deceased, because no one wants to be called and have their little Sally or little Bobby be told that they were gunned down by a monster. This is life changing on there, and I do not envy the family members. I do not envy the law enforcement that have to make the call, because it's terrible. It is extremely terrible. The shooting was the deadliest at the School of Texas history, according to 4 years after a gunman fatally shot 10 people at Santa Fe High School in the Houston area, Associated Press reported. A news conference on what police know about the shooting in the Hill Country community is located about 85 miles west of San Antonio, scheduled for 5 p.m. Hospital officials said several students are being treated in the emergency room. Immediately, family members of the injured students were asked to report to the hospital cafeteria on the second floor. The UMH staff will keep in constant contact those family members. Hospitals officials asked residents who are not immediate family members to stay away from the hospital. Students were evacuated to Willie DeBell. I don't really want to read the rest of this, but all starts from home. Monsters like these are made. They are taught. A child doesn't come out of the womb to become a monster. A child doesn't come out of the womb to be a mass killer. A monster doesn't come, a monster isn't born, it is made. It is a product of its surroundings. I don't know this person's background. I don't even know what ethnic background this person is. And I don't care because it does not matter. What matters is how we respond to this. And we should respond to taking a close look at what's happening at home. We have to teach our kids from right and wrong. We have to instill a moral system at home to make sure that they don't grow up to be like this. Parents have a burden to recognize issues with their kids that may be subtle, and they need to be picking up on this. They need to have discipline at home. And chances are, there probably was no discipline at home. Who knows? I'm speculating. But monsters are made from the surroundings. Maybe this kid was picked on at school and his parents ignored it, or maybe school officials ignored it, and he had one bad day and he snapped. I'm not excusing them, not making excuses for him. But there's something that has to be said. There's something that has to be said about the mental illness. Something has to be said about the drugs we're giving to our kids because they have a learning disorder, because they are overly active while we force them to sit for 8 hours out of the day with very little recess or not enough recess, or for whatever reason. There's definitely got to be a talk about prescriptions and what we're prescribing. Are kids being overprescribed medicines that they don't need? I know people want to talk about the tool. The tool is just a tool. I think might want I might do a video on this down the road, but one of the first mass killings at a school was a bombing in the 1700 or 1800. I don't remember the details. It was on the Wikipedia page where I read it, where someone just planted TNT underneath the school building and blew it up with the kids inside. I think it was one of the worst mass casualties. But why am I talking about explosives when this guy used a gun? Exactly. If there's a will, there's a way. It all starts at home. It starts about how we raise beautiful people, understanding the warning signs before they become a monster. Like I said, I'm glad the monster is dead, but that's not closure for the people who are impacted. There's going to be no closure. The family members of the kids that are killed, this is going to haunt them for the rest of their day. Their life has changed, it's been uprooted. There's no going back. Their innocence has been lost. The students at the school that survived, their innocence have been lost because of this monster. This cowardly monster took away people's innocence. It's his blame and his blame alone. We'll see what the investigation turns out. We'll discover whether or not his gun was legally owned or if he stole it or whatnot. We'll find out down the road. Of course, there's going to be a push from us certain members for more gun control. There's going to be blame on the governor for allowing open carry without a permit or just carry regardless. There's going to be a lot of blame passed around, but the blame relies on the monster that killed his grandmother and shot up this school. That's where the blame should end. And who knows? Maybe if he was hugged a little bit more, maybe his family hugged him, treated him with a little bit more respect as whenever it happened, or if they even disciplined him a little bit more to instill the moral fabric that needs to be in America. That's all I have. Leave a comment down below on what your thoughts are. But most importantly, if you're a parent, hug your child today. If you're a student at a school, tell your parents that you love them. Because you never know when that day will be when you get a call from the local police chief that a monster has ripped away your innocence. That's all.